You stand up with a perfectly clear mission. Go to the kitchen and get something important. You cross the doorway, take 3 confident steps, and suddenly your mind contains nothing but kitchen. You inspect the counter. You open a cabinet. You stare into the refrigerator as if the answer might be hiding behind the mustard. Then you walk back to the original room, and, without warning, the missing thought returns. Of course, scissors. Did the doorway erase your memory? Is your brain running out of storage? Or is the house quietly defeating you? Probably none of those. The experience is often called the doorway effect, but the name is easier than the explanation. A door is not a memory wiping portal. It is one example of something your brain treats as an event boundary. To understand that, imagine your life not as one endless recording, but as a movie divided into scenes. At every moment, your brain maintains a working model of what is happening now. The model includes where you are, who is present, what objects matter, what your goal is, and what you expect to happen next. At your desk, the scissors belong to the current scene because you need them to open a package. You form an intention, stand up, and carry that goal toward the kitchen. Then the doorway announces a change. New room, new sights, new sounds, and possibly a new set of useful actions. Your brain updates the event model so it can deal efficiently with a new situation. Information connected to the previous event may move out of the mental foreground. The scissors goal may still exist, but becomes harder to retrieve without the context that originally supported it. Researchers have tested this idea using virtual rooms filled with tables and objects. Participants carried an object from one table to another while their memory was occasionally tested. Sometimes they moved the same distance while staying inside one room. Other times they crossed through a doorway into a different room. Object information was often less accessible after the spatial shift than after movement within the same room. This became known as the location updating effect, one experimental form of the doorway effect. Related effects have appeared in virtual environments, real rooms, imagined movement, and even purely visual event transitions. But this is where internet explanations usually become much too confident. Doorways do not always cause forgetting. Some studies find weak effects, conditional effects, or no effect under particular designs. The result can depend on cognitive load, how strongly the intention was encoded, the similarity of the rooms, and what else competes for attention. Working memory is limited. It keeps a small amount of information active while you use it. Walking while planning dinner, reading a message, hearing your name, and avoiding the cat gives that workspace several jobs at once. A weak intention, such as get that thing from the other room, is especially easy to displace. A specific intention, such as get the blue scissors from the kitchen drawer, has more structure and more retrieval cues. An interruption can create its own event boundary, even when you never move through a doorway. A phone notification, a new conversation, or switching browser tabs can close one mental scene and open another. Even a person asking a quick question can replace the active goal with a new social event, leaving the original intention waiting off stage. The important ingredient may be a meaningful change in context or goal, not the wooden rectangle itself. Why would the brain use a system that occasionally makes you wander around holding a confused expression? Because dividing experience into events is enormously useful. Event boundaries create chapters. They help separate making breakfast from driving to work and yesterday from today. When a situation changes, updating the model helps you predict what will matter next instead of carrying every old detail forever. At a boundary, the previous event can also be organized for longer-term memory. So boundaries have a dual role. They may weaken immediate access across events while improving organization within each event. People often remember the order of details better when those details occurred inside the same event than across separate events. A film editor uses cuts for the same reason. Without boundaries, every action would blur into one exhausting continuous shot. Your brain is constantly editing experience into manageable scenes, usually without asking permission. This also explains why returning to the original room can sometimes bring the intention back. Context is more than location. A familiar object, sound, posture, or unfinished action can all become handles for pulling an intention back into awareness. The desk, package, and unfinished task recreate parts of the context in which the goal was formed. Those cues make the missing intention easier to retrieve. The memory was inaccessible, not necessarily erased. Going back is not guaranteed to work, because forgetting can have several causes and the original intention may have been weakly encoded. And everyone experiences ordinary lapses, especially when tired, stressed, distracted, or juggling several goals. Frequent or worsening memory problems that disrupt daily life are a different question and deserve professional assessment. For ordinary doorway forgetting, a few simple strategies follow directly from science. First, make the intention concrete. Silently repeat blue scissors, kitchen drawer as you stand up. Better still, picture yourself opening the drawer and picking up the scissors. Carry a physical cue when possible. An empty mug travels to the kitchen more reliably than the abstract thought, get water. At the doorway, pause for half a second and deliberately keep the goal in focus before absorbing the new room. For important tasks, use a note, reminder, or checklist instead of demanding that working memory behave like permanent storage. Reduce competing tasks. The notification can wait until the scissors have completed their heroic journey. If the goal disappears, retrace your steps mentally or physically and reconstruct what you were doing immediately before you moved. And do not panic. Anxiety adds another task to working memory and rarely makes retrieval easier. So why do you forget why you entered a room? First, your brain represents life as a sequence of events. Second, a doorway can signal a boundary and trigger an update to what seems relevant now. Third, the previous goal can become harder to access when attention and working memory are redirected. But the effect is conditional, and event boundaries also help organize experience and memory. The doorway did not steal your thought. Your brain simply started editing the next scene before carrying over the plot. Next time it happens, return to the previous scene. And if you remember why you went to the kitchen, please tell the person still staring into the refrigerator.